I'm going to get into this review of Sable fABLE by Bon Iver, but before I do, I want to ask a question. Like, what genre is Bon Iver, is Bon Iver? Could you tell me in the comments just quickly, like, when I ask you that question, what's the first thing you think of? Because I've been doing some thinking, and I want to share my thoughts with you, and I got to give you a little history lesson. In 1964, in Philadelphia, there was a DJ named Georgie Woods. Now, he was on a R&B and soul station that was primarily playing black music. He himself was a black DJ. And even though it primarily played black musicians, like many people in 1964, he was powerless before the song You've Lost That Love and Feeling by the Righteous Brothers. You know that song. You've lost the love and feeling. You know it. You know it, right? And so, like, what do you do? What do you do when there's like good soul, good R&B, and it's made by people, who are not African American, who aren't black, who aren't from the culture that created it? Well, Georgie Woods, Philadelphia DJ, came up with this term. When he would introduce them, he would say, "And here are my blue-eyed soul brothers, the Righteous Brothers." And from that term, blue-eyed soul, the Righteous Brothers would even name their next album Some Blue-Eyed Soul. And that term came to describe a whole series of artists over many, many decades. Okay? Some of them who, I have a very spotty history with, like Steve Winwood in his solo act. Okay, not a big solo Steve Winwood fan. Michael Bolton, hard to pick just one. Hall and Oates, Maroon 5, all right? This is not exactly murderer's row of musicians that I love, and maybe not you. But then you have some, mid-range blue-eyed soul examples like George Michael, who doesn't love a good George Michael song, or Justin Timberlake. And then you have the greats like the Bee Gees, like David Bowie in the '70s, like Young Americans, like Amy Winehouse, like Van Morrison. Okay, you listen to Astral Weeks, you tell me that's not as good as any music made by any human being on planet Earth, because you can't. There's nothing better, okay? There's things as good, but there's nothing better than Astral Weeks by Van Morrison. So this blue-eyed soul term is quite interesting. There's another term, though, more history. In the late 90s, there's a guy named Caden Massenburg, who was a music executive at Motown. And at this point, there's this whole kind of movement happening where soul and R&B was getting a little bit funkier, was getting a little bit weird, was getting a little bit more hybrid. We're talking about artists like D'Angelo, Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill. And so Kedar Massenburg came up with the term neo-soul, which if you look up the definition, it's soul and R&B music that's mixed in with maybe funk, maybe jazz, maybe hip-hop, maybe rock, maybe pop, maybe electronic. It's essentially like the soul version of post-punk. So post-punk is my favorite genre of rock and roll music because it takes all these different elements, our weird, rootless, genreless existence, and uses that to its advantage to create interesting plays and variations and soundscapes. So I want to put these all together and say I found the genre for Bon Iver. I think he is blue-eyed neo-soul. Does that make sense? Am I out over my skis? You let me know. Because if you look up Bon Iver in Wikipedia or Bandcamp, he's defined as indie rock, as folk, as baroque pop, as folktronica, as electronic, all these things. I don't think they're accurate because none of them are mentioning the fact that very few artists can touch your soul as well as Bon Iver, which is why artists as diverse as Kanye West and his, maybe not his original op, I think his original op was George Bush, but one of his most famous ops, Taylor Swift, the fact that the one thing they can definitely all agree on is that working with Bon Iver is excellent. Travis Scott, Vince Staples, Lizzo, Zach Bryan, Charlie XCX, James Blake, St. Vincent, like, when they need that voice, when they need that soulful sound, there's a lot of people they can go to, and they often go to Bon Iver. So let's throw in that term neo-soul. But of course, it's got to be blue-eyed because he's very white, very Wisconsin-y, very J. Crew coded, all right? but he's also so consciously and clearly indebted to and a contributor to black art that we can't just call him a culture vulture, you know? This neo, I want to keep that neo in there because he's playing with the genre. He's playing with his own genres. He's creating soul music that doesn't sound like other soul music. Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who's realizing that you might be sitting there wondering, okay, Skye, well, why not call it alternative R&B? You know, Dijon is on this album. All these great singers with French names. Dijon's on this album, and he's one of my favorite artists. Like right now, I think he's just an absolute, his last album was just perfect, and I'm excited to see whatever he can do. But I think there's this other aspect where just so you know, there's going to be a lot of wind today, maybe a lot of rain today. So just the sound here is going to be super authentic. There might even be some birds behind me. I don't know. I can't see the camera. I can't see the screen. There's a lot of pop. There's a lot of pop in Bon Iver's music, but it's not pop like K-pop. It's not pop like Maroon 5, okay? It's like a kind of 80s pop. And what I think he's doing is he is helping people all over the world just say, all right, Hall & Oates were good. I was wrong. I know I heard Maneater too much in elementary school, and that made me hate them. But you know what? They're pretty good. But if this album were a mood board, if this album had a mood board, I see there as being one song that really matches it. And it's important because it's a song that I've hated since it came out in the early 90s. A song which has always driven me crazy, which right now, this morning, I have finally came to admit it's a good song and I like it. The whole time, I thought it was too cheesy, I didn't like it, but I was fighting against my internal truth, okay? My internal truth is the song Walking in Memphis by Mark Cohn, C-O-H-N. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. He won Best New Artist Grammy, and then, as far as I know, he disappeared off the face of the earth. Who knows? I'm sure he lives well off this one song. You know, Walking in Memphis was this huge hit. It was everywhere, and it's cheesy as hell. Just this piano. You better go find that song. If you are watching this review, and I don't know how long it's going to be, you can tell me in the comments how long it's going to be. I have no idea. But you better, if you don't know the song, I'm walking in Memphis, I'm walking with my feet around the ground, I'm walking in Memphis. It's like, it's got the cheesy, like, piano, like just a piano. I would love to see Rick Beato break the song down. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons what makes this song great, you know? And I think actually Affinity could do is what makes this song stink. I think you could do it on both of them. I think you do it on both sides of the Affinity Beato scale. And now I'm talking like Finnerty. Okay, so like like the way the piano plays and his voice searches and it builds up with these kind of cheesy 80s, 90s layers, like slightly gospel organ. The snare is being played on the rim to give it that kind of quiet, cheesy sound. It's a song which has always driven me crazy. I remember because they used to play it. They used to play this song and another song called Black Velvet on WBCN in Boston, which was like the rock alternative. It was mostly classic rock with a little bit of rock and alternative. And like when they played this song, I'm like, what are you doing, guys? This is not why I go to WBCN. So I've hated the song for so long, but this whole album, this whole SABLE fABLE album by Bon Iver, or you might call it SABLE fABLE by Bon Iver, the whole album is just, it made me realize like there's such beauty in that songwriting. There's such beauty in that construction. These sounds of the 80s, the sounds which, you know, I think came from soul and were adopted into pop, are really gorgeous. And they're all the way throughout this album. All the way. So that's what I see this as. I see it as this kind of neo, blue-eyed neo soul. And the thing about neo, the word neo inside of neo soul is very dynamic. It's just like the word post and post-punk. It means you can insert just about any other genre or style into it and it becomes that. So I think what this is it's neo soul, and the thing that he's mixing into the soul is a kind of 80s soft rock pop sensibility along with that indie folk that he does so well. I think you mix all those things together and that's the kind of genre you have. And it's crazy complicated, and it's so well produced, and it's so fractured. There's so many sounds here that are like chopped up and broken up and chop, 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 chop. But also they're so wholesome. My brother came up. You know, I had the FD Signifier come to my university and give a talk. It went very well. Thank you very much. It was awesome. He was great. My brother came up from West Virginia. You know, like seriously, he came up just to help. He helped fund it. It was awesome. and he loves music, and he's one of the reasons I do this channel. I was like, what do you think of Bon Iver? And he was like, well, first of all, thank you for not pronouncing it Bon Iver, you pretentious French professor. But he's like, I like him, I respect him, but I never want to listen to him twice. and I think that's how I used to feel up until this album, because this album has SABLE, which is the first, 3 or 4 songs that he released a couple months ago. I did a video on that. Please check that out. There's no way I'm going to remember to put a link up there, but let's pretend I do, okay? Is there a link up there? Did I do it? Give me props if I do. Say props to you, Professor Skye. But, so when I heard these songs again, I realized how much I love them and how much I love his music and how much I had these lyrics stuck in my head. Things behind things behind things. But in general, I was right there with my brother. But what I think it is I think there's this resistance, I think there's this resistance when you grow up edgy, when you grow up really believing in edginess, that Bon Iver is a fascinating case because he is really not trying to be edgy. He works with edgy people and he doesn't lack edges, but he's not trying to be edgy. There's a term that I learned from an ex-girlfriend called hyggelig. Do you know what hyggelig means? It's a Swedish word. I think it's spelled like Hyggli, and it's like coziness. It's a specific kind of design aesthetic. It's a specific kind of life where like think about being in a place with a fireplace and a warm sweater and a blanket and kind of soft noise, okay? I'm actually intentionally recording this on my back porch because my back porch is actually pretty hygglig, okay? With the sound of the birds in the background and the covered porch. And this morning I came out. It was raining like hell. It was just raining and raining and raining and raining. And this is a covered porch. Otherwise, I'd be getting sunburned all the time. This is a little plastic cover over the top of the porch. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this album. And I'm drinking my coffee. I'm listening to the album. And the rain is falling on the roof of the deck. And I am just so hygglig. And the music is so hygglig, and it gives me this sense of peace and joy. And what I realized is that, okay, I'm lucky, obviously, I'm ridiculously lucky to have a full-time job that pays me well enough. I was really lucky to be able to buy property when property was affordable in this area, all that kind of stuff, right? I'm just lucky to have a deck, I'm lucky to have a house, all that stuff. But the music is what gives you that feeling. It's not even the deck. It's not even the rain on the thing. It's just he's able to create this music that feels like a warm sweater, and he does it really, really well. And then right after that, I woke up, my 2.5-year-old was awake, and we made waffles together. We made Poppy's famous pig donkey waffles, and it was just really nice having this music in the house and the hyggelig and the waffles and the rain. And it helped me to understand what it is that people feel from his music. And so I think it is now time to say 2 things. One, Mark Kahn, I apologize. Walking to Memphis is a great song. I was always wrong. Number 2, I think I love Bon Iver. I think I probably have to buy all of his music and actually do more on his subreddit than just post that I've released a video. Because I think he might really be one of those guys, one of those artists that is just really, really great. And I just, I knew about him. I own, one of his albums. The one with I think his self-titled album. The one that has Holocene on it. But I think it's just time for me to really just give up and just say I love it. So let's talk about this album. Let's talk about SABLE, fABLE, which of course means sand, fable in French. Good winter. It's now spring. I love spring. So I already covered volume 1. You already clicked on the video. You watched it. I get caught looking, and just the passion on award season. And I've listened to this album entirely enough to understand the way that it's connected, but I'm going to have to tell you at the end of the review, okay? So the fABLE part of SABLE fABLE starts with the song Short Story, the famous Bon Iver falsetto. I almost did the whole video in the falsetto, but I'm not going to. And some synthesizer before, almost like Tom Petty style guitar. This is almost an intro. And they're already it feels like a half song in a way, and these lyrics. The strain and the thirst are sweet. You have not yet gone too deep. This whole idea of never being complete. There seems to be a lot of this album is about a relationship, maybe a relationship breaking up, maybe about that kind of difficulty, maybe about the sense of not feeling whole without being with somebody. I don't know. And then we get to the song Everything is Peaceful Love. This is just that straight neo soul. It's just beautiful. Just the production on this song. The production on this song. So many layers. Unexpected textures mixed together. Unexpected textures. Drum machine with like a New Order style guitar line with like pedal steel and the automated weird noises. And then it gets mixed in with the soft rock cheese. And then it's just a full on Bee Gees chorus, like starting low and going falsetto. All right? Damn if I'm not climbing up a tree right now. Right? It's just, damn if I'm not climbing up a tree right now and everything is peaceful love. Ha, 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 ha. Bon Iver, Bon Iver. I regret that immediately, but I don't edit my videos. So, hey, it's stuck there. Now you have to smash the like bucket because I just put my ass out there and looked a fool. Looked a fool. I have one bad joke per video, and I spent it on that. That wasn't funny. It wasn't creative. It wasn't original. You probably didn't even chuckle a little bit when I did it. So you have to smash the like bucket. You have to put an AVAA. That stands for awesome videos always. Because my ego is too wounded. Okay? And it seems like a lot of this album is about a healthy breakup. And it's cool because, I just reviewed Lucy Dacus. And Lucy Dacus feels like that's a lot about a positive, or it's a preemptive breakup album about how she's in love with somebody, but she knows it's going to end. And then there's the song Bullseye with Hosier that's all about a healthy, and it's right in me. I know that we may go and change someday. I couldn't rightly say that's for parting days. It's very similar, and this is not on my notes, so I'm doing the work on the fly right here. The Dacus album and this album, it appears to me as though we might be reaching a new era of healthy, non-toxic breakup albums. Because we had 2 in a couple weeks. I don't know. Just great, cheesy 80s synths. But the thing is, like, the drums are so disjointed and the pedal steel. And this outro with that pedal steel. Are you serious? Or have you listened to the production on this album? That's what makes this song great. And we get to Walk Home. Simple, really pained drum beat. The bass is almost like super minimalist, almost like, I don't know, RZA-inspired minimalist bass going on here. And then we get this sample, Walk Home, which I think is him. I think it's him pitched up, and it's this whole theme, I want to be inside with you. And what a beautiful theme, Like, seriously, I'm gonna be honest. It's been a rough couple weeks. I had that whole medical emergency. I spent that time in the emergency room, and then I had this whole talk. I've been nervous about that. I got family in town. So it's been hard because, like, I haven't got to see my wife as much as I'd like. But this lyric, I want to be inside with you. Like, I heard that this morning while I was over there on the porch, and she was feeding our baby, and I was like, I really want to be inside with her. Like, I really appreciate the way that kind of love is expressed. Some steel and some strings, but it's actually the voice and the drums that carry the song. We don't need no window curtains. We can let the light come in, and we can shed your earthly burdens. Yes, of this I am certain, you was made for me. It's funny because my wife and I actually just had a discussion about whether or not we should put blinds in the kitchen because I like the light, but she's like, if it's too bright, then I don't even want to cook in the middle of the day. So who's right? Give you a hint. Not me. But this is a great love song, And so I think there's some breakup songs, there's some love songs in here. It's just like that goddamn Lucy Dacus album. Maybe just these young kids. And I know Bon Iver is probably my age. I don't know. He's probably in his 40s. But still, in general, this generation, I don't know. It seems like we're doing a better job with writing love songs. And then we get to the song Day One, basically a fractured gospel sound. This is where I was really thinking about that. I'm walking in Memphis. Oh, man, I got carpenter ants on the house, man. This is tough. We got to go get some ant traps. I don't like killing ants. I usually put them outside. But when you got carpenter ants, that means they're eating the wood inside your house. All right. Do I have ADD? I don't know. You have to tell me. fractured gospel, chopped up sounds, really inspirational. The sun's going to go ahead and tag right up, and we don't understand what we're standing on, and we sure come in blind with our timing. And then he starts singing with Dijon, and it's just perfect. Dijon and Bon Iver, like two of the best voices in music right now, working together. Two of the best neo-soul artists, all right? And I don't care if you don't call Dijon neo-soul. I just called him that. These automated sounds, he gets got cut off. All this dry land. Hey, is this a Waterworld reference? Dry land exists. I've seen it. It's just it's fractured and wholesome. So I don't know how you put those things together. It's wholesome and fractured. It is whole and multiple. My 2-year-old has this book called Opposites, and one of them is whole and in pieces, and it's a picture of a pie, and it's always bugs me. But this album feels like that at the same time. It's like some kind of quantum album where it is simultaneously completely unified and just together and sweet and also fractured and in multiple voices. And then we get From, which feels like it's connected. Like the last song is called Day One, and then this song is called From, and then the lyric of Day One is From Day One. More 80s soft rock, cool little, again, playing the snare on the rim. So that's where, you have a snare. Okay, you have a snare. It's a little circle, right? And then you hit it with the drumstick. It goes pop, right? But if you just put it on the side, you can go. And the people, they do that a lot in jazz, and they do that a lot in kind of soft rock. And so it's that kind of snare rim hits all the way throughout. These cool, cute little guitar lines are squirreling all over the place, and cute little bass lines are squirreling all over the place, and this high falsetto. I love it when you call me baby, though that's happening less lately. Again, it feels like it might be sort of a sad dissolution, a semi-sad, a bittersweet dissolution of a relationship. Calling from hotel, seems like it's his life. I just love the vibes on this track. Then I'll Be There, slow and stilted again, boots and cats and boots and cats, but it's really slow, the drum machine, the chopped up sounds and 80s bass and gospel voices, and then a little bit of saxophone. Saxophone is always cheesy unless it's not, right? You hear me talk about Black Country New Road, same basic idea. Like when artists can use saxophone, it is one of the most deadly, effective, emotional instruments, but when it's used improperly, then it's just terrible, and this is just great. I said I'll be there, I won't move, tell me more, tell me nothing. I like that ultimatum. Tell me more, tell me nothing. I basically want to say that to most people most of the time, because I'm going to tell you something. I don't care for small talk. I don't care for medium talk either. If you're going to talk to me about your life and say, oh, things are tricky, like that's okay, but maybe don't say that. Maybe tell me like, oh, things are tricky. My husband cut his finger off yesterday, because then I can have a whole conversation with you. If you just say things are tricky, then I just got to go, I'm sorry to hear that. That's a weirdly specific example. I know why I said it, because my wife has a miter saw, and I get nervous. But she's very careful, not like me. Keep that sad shit off the phone and get your fine ass on the road. There's a weird thing where Bon Iver will use a lot of sort of like, I don't know, like double negatives and like get your fine ass on the road. Like he's using what sounds like it might be African-American vernacular English in his singing, which, is weird because he's just a dude from Wisconsin or whatever. But it's just a thing that always happens, right? Like when I wrote songs, I didn't even think about it, but I would use words that I don't like the way I talk. Like, I ain't going nowhere, like I had lyrics where I'd say like, I ain't doing this. And like, I might talk like that sometimes, but anyways, that's a whole nother discussion. If Only I Could Wait, killer automated drum machine with this delay, and then the delay on keyboards and the delay on guitar. Now all of a sudden, we're not up here, we're not doing this. We just have his normal voice, and his normal voice is even more soulful than his falsetto voice. And just the he describes the song with his, see, the thing is, he goes in between like, get your fine ass home, and then saying things like this. If Only I Could Wait is a duet, a bilateral crying question. Bilateral. I get you. I know what it means. I know what it means, Mr. Iver. But okay, how long can two of us hang on to each other? That's the theme, right? That's the whole theme. It's like a slow breakup. I apologize for the wind. I'll try to cover the microphone with my chest. And the way the drums come in remind me a lot of standing outside a broken phone booth with Money in My Hand by Primitive Radio Gods. I've been downhearted, baby. I've been down. If you've only ever watched my Vampire Weekend video and this one, you must think that's the only song I think about. But I've only mentioned that song twice, and this is the second time. But just the effective usage of bringing in some drums. And then another female voice, I guess it's Danielle Haim. Have rendered other fates. I've been prowling on the brakes. Prowling on the brakes. That's a fascinating way to talk about the potential end of a relationship. The last real song of the album is called There's a Rhythm. Super simple xylophone over brush drums. Great chopped up. I think it's a Hammond organ. But listen. Hey, I've been admitting some things today. Number one, I like Mark Cohn's Walking in Memphis. My feet touched on the ground, 10 feet above Beale Street. Okay, I like that song. The other thing is, I don't know what a Hammond organ sounds like. Half the time I think something's a Hammond organ, it's not. So you tell me in the comments, There's a Rhythm, is that the Hammond organ? Am I right on there? Again, with the authentic voice style. And this is what I'm talking about. I think the album, okay, we'll talk about that in a second. You know, like there's a pop on the muted snare. And something happened to me that was really funny. I was listening to the song in the gym. I finally got back to the gym, first time in a couple months. Been too busy. And I was listening to the song on my headphones, Soundcore headphones. As good as you need, Soundcore. They're not a sponsor. They don't sponsor me, but they should, because they're as good as you need. That's what I say. But a weird thing happened where one of the ears got delayed by like half a second, and it worked so well I thought it was part of the song, because the lyrics are like, there's a rhythm. I mean, there's a rhythm to reclaim. There's a rhythm to... So I had this whole thing of like, where it was like, there's a rhythm, there's a rhythm. It was like jumping back and forth and the pedals steel. And like it sounded actually like totally intentional, because the whole song's about a rhythm. And this is emphasizing the nature of the rhythm of the song. It was just great. And this feels like this is about the end of the relationship. Sorry, in my town, for some reason, whenever there's the fire department goes, they just play this crazy siren. When I first moved here, I was like, is this it? Are we in Cloverfield? Is it happening? We're not. Why'd I pick Cloverfield? That's a weird post-apocalyptic thing to pick. Went to see you there in Spain. That was a month ago and change. And now I think you need some space. I will pause and stand with Spade, because you really are a babe. I think this is connected to earlier when I said I love it when you call me baby, but that happens less and less lately. And how you treat me good your way. You know, I really no more shame. Now things really are arranged. There's a rhythm, there's a rhythm. So it feels to me like this is a goodbye. Whoever the Spanish lady is, I think she's mentioned in the song award season as well. There's some lady in Spain. I don't know who she is. I don't know. I don't follow Justin Vernon's love life. So Rosita, Rosalia. Right? Let's say that's who he's dating, and it's basically over, and there's a rhythm, and there is a rhythm to life. There's ebbs and flows, there's ups and downs, there's periods of love, there's periods of loneliness. It all kind of ties in there, and that's why I think the whole album is the way that it is, because I think that SABLE is like really kind of, it's a lot more disjointed. You know, it starts off with this ee sound, and then this fABLE part ends with these piano and sax and high strings. It's a wisp of an outro. And if you listen to the song if you listen to the album on loop, then it goes right in, and it's like this really warm sweetness with goo. So it feels like maybe SABLE is like him realizing that he needs to break up and being a little bit uncomfortable with it. And then fABLE is like the fable, the story of this beautiful love that he had that he knows has to end, and he's bittersweet about it. And of course it has to end with ow revoyer. I don't know what that means. No idea. But Bon Iver is singing Au Reveille, and I looked it up, and that means goodbye in some language. I don't know which one. So he's saying goodbye. He's saying goodbye in this last song, and I think that's intentional, and it's a warmth. So it's like the hello to the album feels like it's a coldness, and then the goodbye is the warmth. And it's time to, there's a rhythm. So I'm officially a Bon Iver fan. Patreons, I asked them if they wanted a shout out. Zach said yes. Rippling Sun said yes. And Justin, I'm going to mispronounce your last name. Blanc-and-see. I believe that's what it is. All right, cool. This waffle is been out of too long. It's hard as a rock. All right. Until next time, there's the camera. Oh, hey, do you want to like... Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's the roof. It's cool, right? My dogs aren't out here, so I can't show you my dogs. All right. There's